Well, again, man, it's great to meet you. Thank you again for taking a minute out for the show. I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure.
So before we get into the new album, the stellar new album, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed so many things about the way we lived, especially for musicians in the jazz community. How did you get through that era, and how has it influenced the way that you do things now?
Well, I mean, I've always been one to adjust. I mean, if you look at my Instagram page, I have a thing that a whole video, I have a Chinese platform now that I do videos and educational videos for. I'm becoming famous in China for some reason. I've been there a bunch of times in the last few years
Yeah.
and long tours with great money, and they treat me like a king. So I'm embracing that. And somebody built a channel for me for video to enlarge the educational profile. But I did a video on AI versus MIDI.
Yeah.
MIDI in the 80s, we were all doing a million jingles
Yeah.
and TV work, and you had to adjust. I mean, you could sit around and complain they're taking all kinds of work away from us, but the MIDI stuff changed the whole industry, and there was no more jingle work, and people were complaining, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. I just adapted. I sold my marimba and I bought three synthesizers and a Mac Plus computer and started programming. And I got gigs from the writers who were hiring me acoustically as a writing demos for them and stuff at the computer with Digital Performer and Finale and like this, but the very first versions, 1.0. But anyway, so I adapted and I survived because I was able to integrate myself into the recording industry in a more of a programming way rather than playing only acoustic instruments. I had been doing 5 to 10 jingles a week, sports themes, car commercials, McDonald's, Coke, it didn't matter, whatever it was. Everybody was, Grady Tate, Will Lee, Steve Gadd, everybody. We were all doing it. We were the Breckers. We were all in the trenches with that. But anyway, so in relationship to your question now, which is about COVID, there was no work, man. There was no work. There was nothing. It was dead. There was not a concert hall open. There was not a club. Clubs were closed. I did do smalls. Somebody paid they donated money to have me. Somebody wanted my group, so Spike called me and gave me a gig at Smalls that I did with David Wong and God rest his soul, Anthony Pinciani, my friend, and Bob Franciscani. We did a quartet gig at Smalls, and somebody donated money to support that. And but really, the way I stayed alive was still through teaching, because I run these workshops on Monday and Tuesday night in Manhattan on 39th Street at a studio called Machiko Studios, and every Monday and Tuesday from 6 to 8, I have a class that I play drums in, but I teach them jazz language, how to work the music, how to perform, and lots of language, lots of jazz language, of course.
Yeah.
So it's been very successful. I've been doing it for more than 15 years. So that kept going on Zoom. So I did that kept going on Zoom. Juilliard kept going on Zoom.
Hmm.
So for me, and then I had more lessons actually on Zoom and what's it called? Jam Kazam. It's a program where you can play with others
Yeah.
and if you're connected to Ethernet. And I did better, strangely, almost better during the pandemic because the teaching increased because people were sitting around in their houses doing nothing and they wanted to keep active. So I taught a lot of lessons. I did my 2 hour combos Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and then I started one on Saturday nights called the Mark Sherman Jazz Workshop. And I mean that's what the Monday and Tuesday night is called. But I did a Zoom session for an hour, for like an hour and 15 minutes, in which I would present an element each week. And so I would teach for like a half hour one element. And then I had a special guest on to teach their stuff for 45 minutes. And those special guests were like the most important jazz musicians in the world, some of them. I mean, I had Charlap and K-Wash and Bob Franceschini and Berganzi and Dave Liebman. And, I had like a whole lot. I mean, I had a list and I did it for like 60 or 70 weeks every Saturday for an hour and 50 minutes. And people paid $15, I think it was, to go on the session, 10 or 15, I can't even remember. Maybe it was 15. And I had a group of 10 to, whatever, to 20 people each week. And
Yeah.
I was able to pay Berganzi and Liebman some money, and I was able to make a few bucks. So, survival, so I survived it. But now, has it changed it? Um, no, because we're back to normal now. I mean, everything's going. All the clubs are open. Everything's open, and been back in school for years now since the COVID that kind of subsided,
Yeah.
and that didn't really change. It changed my life, in that you have to wear a mask and you have to do all the other things. But as far as my workload, the teaching thing got even stronger, strangely.
Yeah.
Because people had nothing to do, man. They want to learn, they want to play. So I was able to like play with certain students on Jam Kazam and teach, and others I could just listen and teach. And I still do that with a lot of students in China, strangely, because they use this platform called WeChat, which is very, very fantastic. That's where my channel is, WeChat channel. So, the people who built it for me have an educational platform that has like, I don't know, a couple of 100,000. There's a million classical pianists in China, and they all want to learn jazz.
Yeah.
And my book, Skills for the Poetic Language of Jazz Improvisation, it kind of sold a lot of copies in China, and it's been translated into Chinese. So they're hoping that I can build a lot of followers, sell lots of books, and then turn all the videos that they're posting on the channel, that I give them one or two a week, with each video a different element or a different subject matter. And sometimes it's social stuff like road stories, and just the touring stories. Could be anything. Things like the AI MIDI video.
Yeah.
So in fact, so the Chinese translation of my book was very important, because now I can do much better over there, and I can and jazz is exploding there. I mean, when I was there in 2011, there were no clubs, and the only jazz they knew was Clint Eastwood movies.
Wow. So it
They
really is
knew-
blowing up
there-
over there.
yeah, there was no clubs. When
Wow.
I went there specifically in 2011 on a State Department tour with my quartet with Tim Horner. We did one of those jazz ambassador tours representing the United States, and we did 35 concerts and 30 and workshops and concerts, but 35 events in like 5 weeks, and it was a long tour of Southeast Asia. But we did go to China for 12 days, and they knew nothing about jazz.
Wow.
There was not one club in the whole country for jazz, and like I said, the only jazz they knew was from the movies, from like, Dexter, Clint Eastwood movies,
Yeah.
Herbie, on Death Wish and things like this.
Yeah. That's
So
wild.
yeah, it's really been sort of life altering for me, because I mean, literally, I went over there. I was treated like a king. I mean, there were cameras filming me everywhere I went. I went to a museum tour they took me on, and they filmed me watching the museum tour.
Wow.
It's like, nuts. So, and I love the culture anyway. But
Yeah.
but just the same, it's a fantastic place. But anyway, forget about China. Ask me some more
Yeah,
questions.
no, right on. Yeah. So the latest album, Bop Contest, as I said, I absolutely love it. You got Kansas, Carl Allen's been in Kansas City. He's teaching here at
Yeah, I
UMKC.
know. I know.
Yeah.
He's doing great there.
And Donald Vega and Ron Carter and Joe. What a great lineup. I mean, just a powerful sound. What were you going for? What was your vision for this album?
Well, I just take one CD at a time. I keep knocking them out. I mean, this is what, number 22. You know, in 2019, well, first of all, Ron Carter, I've known for a while, and we played together at Juilliard a lot of times, talked a lot, had conversations, meetings together, all kinds of stuff, auditions together, doing the auditions. And back in the day, everybody did every instrument. So, the panel of panelists at Juilliard Jazz Auditions was like, well, Carl was head of the program at that time. Carl, K. Wash, Ron Carter, Ray Drummond, God rest his soul, Ben Wolf, Teray, Eddie Henderson. It was like a load of great musicians, Rodney Jones and myself and others. So it was like a huge panel. But anyway, I got to know Ron really pretty well, and he heard my 2000, I don't remember what, 8 release or 2012 release, the LA Sessions, which was organ trio. But then he heard the record I did, My Other Voice, with Vincent Herring and Ray Drummond and Carl Allen. And I play piano on that. And I began, I've been playing piano since I'm 8 years old, but I'm known as a vibraphonist for many, But I love playing the piano, and I've done all my writing at the piano. All my tunes come from the piano. So I decided I was going to start playing more piano because it's also easier on the road. You don't always have to have a vibraphone. And when they have a vibraphone, I play it. But when they don't have one or it's difficult to get, I can just make the gig playing piano. So, and there's all kinds of extra work in New York playing piano. Like I play, gigs like, New York Athletic Club brunch, it pays really well and things like that where you just play solo piano for a few hours. So I started playing a lot of piano, and strangely, that first record playing piano had like a sort of a viral hit on Spotify. Every time we say goodbye trio with Ray Drummond and Carl Allen, I did a nice version of that with the Coltrane changes, and it has 8.1 million streams, and I own it. When you own it, you get the royalties, directly. So that was a very profitable and positive record. But Ron said to me, how come you don't use me? He's got like he's the greatest, man. He's the number one, bass player in the world. I mean, that's still alive and that's been recorded so many times, 2,500, I think, CDs or recordings or something. So he saw me in the lobby one day, says, "Yeah, I heard your record. I heard your record, My Other Voice. It's great, man. You're playing the shit out of the piano." And then he said, "How come you don't use me?" He's look, you got to have ego to play this music, and he's got it.
Yeah.
But he's also humble, but I mean, you know, he's legendary. So, and at least ego's cool when you can back it up,
Yeah.
and he sure does. So, uh, I said to him, I didn't know you would even want to play, want, want me to do that or want to play with me. I wouldn't even think you would want to play with me. I mean, I don't know. And he said, sure. Okay. So, 5 CDs later, 4 or 5 CDs later, Donald Vega and I got really close. And Carl, I've been close with from forever, for 20 years. It's so I was thinking of, I did I did My Other Voice, then I did the one with Joe Mangarelli live at the Bird's Eye, which is a double CD that we did like 3 years ago. I did Bright Light on the Chesky record label, which was my second on the piano. I think third, what I played piano on Venture with Mike Clark and Felix Pastorius, but I also played vibes. I overdubbed vibes on that record. And then, I this last two, and then I played piano on the one with Sam Dillon, called With Freedom, with Jonathan Blake and Ugana Okegwo, which is a very lovely piece. That's got a lot of my originals on it. I'm really proud of that one. I gave Sam Dillon a good chance to play with some great known rhythm section, of those guys, Ugana and John Blake, and that was great playing. I played piano, and I overdubbed some vibes on a few cuts on that too. You know, but I love playing the piano. And then I did the one with Mags, which was a duo. I mean, a double CD, right? Of the band, like after 12 concerts on tour, we did a 17 concert tour twice in a row, 2 years in a row. And the first year after the 11th gig or something, we did 2 nights in Basel. at the Birdseye Jazz Club, and man, it was captured on, recorded, and it's a very powerful piece because it's live, The cuts are long, but I don't care that the music is powerful,
Yeah.
because the band had been tight, with Bernd Ryder on drums. He's a great drummer from Austria. So anyway, then I looked at it all, and it's like time to do a vibraphone CD. It's time to play some vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to satisfy my desire and my urge to, and I'm still playing piano. I'm playing vibes tomorrow with Mike Clark, Dave Kikowski, and Ugana at the
Wow.
Washington Heights Jazz Festival in New York. But and then I play piano at the Django because it's a pain in the ass to move a vibe down there.
Yeah.
And you can't get it in the club because the tables are full of people. You have to start moving people out of the way. It's really a problem. So, vibraphone is not the easiest animal.
Yeah.
Big problem for the vibe players having to move it around, having to get it. Thankfully, I'm with Yamaha for like 30 years, endorsing them. And they, if I need an instrument in China or if I need an instrument in Europe, they can often provide for you. But, I'm doing both. I'm
Yeah.
juggling both, and I'm still playing drums. But the piano is the mother of all the instruments anyway. It's the orchestra. It's the full orchestra there, and I do both. I consider myself a multi-instrumentalist, not just a vibraphonist. But it was time to play some vibes, and so I said, okay, I'm going to do a record of these tunes because I've been playing these tunes a lot on piano and having fun with them. 111-44, the two-seater tunes. I was playing a lot. So I decided to do a record playing vibes and put the deep tradition in there as deep as I was capable of doing. I'm not God's gift to anything. I just try to play the music right. But
Yeah.
um, I picked these great tunes and I called Ron. I actually went down and saw Ron at Birdland when Vega was playing with him with Russell Malone. Oh no, it was Donald Harrison. And then I had sent Ron an email the day before, and I went up to him. I said, "So, you're going to do my record? You want to do the record?" And he looked at me. He says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, in February, but not after January, because I'm going to be busy until end of January." So I said, "Okay." And this was like in December or something.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Okay, I'll wait. I can wait."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, but how much is it going to cost me?" Because, And he said, "Oh, man, I love you. It's going to be like that's your Christmas gift."
Wow.
But so he did a really great deal, really great arrangement for me, and it's a beautiful thing. He's a wonderful person with a
Yeah.
lot of love, and I guess he respects me, because he did the record. So because I had him confirmed. Obviously, Donald Vega is a great choice because they play together a lot. And I happen to love Donald's playing. He plays straight down the middle, but somewhere between Kenny Barron and Cedar Walton, who are my two favorite. My favorite mixes of pianists are McCoy Tyner and Cedar Walton. If I have to choose a mix, when I play, my style is more in that style, mix of those two masters. Kenny Barron is on. I did a duo record with. I know Kenny very well too. So those two records, the Bop Contest and the one with Kenny, yeah, they're probably the most important ones I've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as far as longevity, and what they bring. I mean, you're playing with. If you're just playing with masters, it lends immediate credibility. I remember in 2003, I began recording again on my own label, and I did one with Michael Brecker called the Motive Series, and then the next one with Joe Lovano as a guest. And those two records developed a lot of credibility for me.
Yeah.
And then I got the Juilliard gig, and then this, and then that, and then I got an agent in Europe, and I was able to bring band. I mean, it's just kind of like turned over, just having the credibility of those two cats. So
Yeah.
adding Kenny Barron and Ron Carter to that, it's good for me. It's
For sure.
good for the profile.
So let me ask you this. After all of these years of making music. I'm curious. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, everyone on the bandstand, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm just a musician trying to play the truth of who I am.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just trying to live the truth of who I am. I believe I was, you need to be healthy and live with longevity. I think in this life you need the three things that like the Okinawan people live with, which is exercise, good diet, and purpose of life. And I have the purpose of life part down because I know what I'm here for. I played Broadway shows for 25 years and I quit that I started at 21 and I quit when I was at 46 doing that work. But it created a pension and it created a lot of longevity. And there's very great musicians on Broadway. I mean, I worked with Bobby Mincer and all kinds of great musicians on Broadway. I mean, Lou Marini, and there's just a ton of Soloff. There's a lot of great guys who play Broadway shows, but it's not what I was put on this planet for. You got to look in the mirror and say what you're there for. So I quit and I
yeah,
replaced it with education. I started teaching at Juilliard and privately and my workshops and things like that just to support my family.
yeah,
So but I think I was put on this planet to play this music, write tunes, write tunes, reharmonize standards, play standards, reharmonize standards, and to teach jazz language. And I believe that's really where I belong. And I've helped a lot of young people with my methodology. I have like a very concise methodology on how to sort of get somebody going, if they're like a aspiring jazz musician looking to improve their language. I have some very specific drills and concepts and things that I bring. So, and everybody does. Everybody has their way. There's a lot. I'm not the only guy. I mean, you can go. There's Berganzi. He's got like 10 books. He's like incredible. He's got his methodology, but they're along the same lines. Everything's always along the same lines, but everyone uses different terminology. But yeah, I believe I was put on the music on the into this world to play this music, man. To be a musician, but I'm a classical musician too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I love classical. I love music. I like good music.
yeah,
I like all the music. I like some of the rap stuff too and the pop stuff. I love pop. I have a pop tune that's a viral hit,
yeah,
changed my life. I mean, I just like good music. So I look at it like there's good music and there's bad music.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter what style it is. There's great country music, there's great folk music, there's great pop music, great classical music, you know. But I'm content with being a multi-instrumentalist because one feeds the other.
yeah,
There are things I can do on piano that I can't even play on vibes.
yeah,
And there are things I can play on vibes that I can't play on piano.
yeah,
And then I play drums pretty good because I studied with Elvin at a young age, and I always loved playing that style of jazz, like swinging like Elvin and
yeah,
Philly Joe and the others. Just that always carried a lot of momentum. I never stopped playing drums. I have a beautiful drum set. I'm out at my house in the country here, and I have a beautiful studio in the back that has an absolutely gorgeous drum set that Tim Horner gave me a beautiful 20-inch ride cymbal, and Carl Allen gave me the 18-inch ride cymbal he used with Freddie Hubbard as a present. And I have these beautiful cymbals and a nice setup out here to play drums, and a piano back there, of course.
yeah,
But it's just yeah. I mean, I was kind of born into music. So my mother was an opera singer, and I was kind of born into music.
right
So
on.
I just stayed with it. It saved my. I don't know if I was born into. You know what it is? It chooses you. You don't choose it.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
it's the right thing, it chose me. Music is kind of like a calling, kind of like a priest or a rabbi.
yeah,
It chooses you. I had nothing else to do. Sports, it would have been sports. I was a good baseball player and still am. But you know, it was either going to be sports or music. And I grew up in New York with a mother who was an opera singer. So
Yeah,
forget sports, you know.
that's it. Yeah, you had your destiny. So you're playing on November 8th with the Mike Clark Quartet at the Washington Heights Jazz Festival. The
And then
19th, you'll be at
also
Smalls.
the 19th, I'm at Smalls with Bruce Barth, Ugana Okegwo, and Tim Horner's playing drums.
Okay. Well, everything is on your website. I will put all of this in the show notes. I am, it's been an honor to talk to you about Bop Contest, to delve into your career. I can't wait to profile it on the show.
Well, I'm really happy that you like the record. We did that record in 4.5 hours,
Wow, that's crazy.
and it's at Rudy Van Gelder. Have you seen the videos that are on YouTube that
Uh-huh.
I've
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
like the intro video with the interview with Ron and my interview and those
Yeah.
different. Yeah, man, it was historic. Like Ron was incredible. People said to me, like, was Ron cool? Was Ron cool? They like expecting me to say he was difficult in some
Right.
way.
Right.
Not at all. He was perfect. He was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
He was perfect. I just didn't want to go very long. He was 87. He was 87 years old at the
Yeah.
time. I didn't want to go, you know, 6, 7 hour session.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do that. So we recorded 7 tunes. But the last one I did myself. I played piano on Skylark and then I overdubbed the vibes. And Don Sickler was in the studio when I did that. Don and Maureen Sickler, who own Rudy Van Gelder's now. And, they own the studio. So Don said to me, "You should do a whole record of tunes like that, where you play piano first and then overdub the vibes. Like a whole record of standards or ballads or something. It put a thought in my mind. I was thinking maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
Cost effective. I only have to pay me.
Yeah. There you go. I love it. Well, again, man, I love the album. I can't wait to play it on the show. So great to meet you, man. Thank you
Hey,
so
you
much.
too, Joe. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
And